Jeromy Farkas, I think we're live. We were just talking about how on Facebook and Zoom and all these other things, there's always a little bit of, is it working? Is it not working? But I can see you, you can see me. Let me start by this. Where are you?
Well, I'm still in California, and California is something like 2/3 of the Pacific Crest Trail. But for the people who might have a map open, probably my mom, I'm at mile 630 Walker Pass or Ridgecrest, California, which is about, I'm going to say, 1/4 of the way. So I'm about 40 days in. The first couple, or the first stretch has been a little bit slower than I was expecting, mostly because of a bunch of bad winter storms. And I've just been very cautious, making sure that I'm not putting myself or other people into danger, trying to rescue me in unsafe situations. But in the next, I'd say 2 weeks is going to be pretty tricky as I enter the Sierra Nevada, like a big mountain range. And then from there, it's relatively flat with plenty of water, which allows me to go a little bit quicker than I've been going so far. So about a quarter of the way.
It doesn't feel like to me that you're on a trail side somewhere. You're in a hotel. Where did you find Wi-Fi?
So funny story, at exactly the 1,000-kilometer mark with the photo that I posted with all the, basically 1,000 written down in pine cones, there is Wi-Fi there, but apparently there's this bad windstorm with something like 120-kilometer wind gusts. So I was of the mind to like actually do this live at the spot, but I figured that you wouldn't be able to hear me. You'd probably see me. My smartphone flew off the mountain and down thousands of feet, which would actually make for an interesting video. But I'm in a small motel, one of the few spots in this town which has an internet connection. And if you envision in your mind sort of the dusty desert town with the tumbleweed rolling down the street and a couple of buildings and a saloon, I'm exactly right there.
Yeah, it's called a Night's Inn. You texted me a photo, and there is vacancy, shockingly. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've encouraged me to stay another night, but I think I'm going to be heading out later today once the storm passes, and then I can get back on my way through the mountains.
So, of course, our many friends are watching here. We sent out an invitation to the hundreds of donors that have already contributed to Jeromy's big run. So welcome. If you've got a question for Jeromy, feel free to pop it in the little dialogue chat box there, and we'll take some questions as we go. I've got some special questions for you in a minute, but first I wanted to get a sense that first 40 days, I mean, that's almost biblical. How has it feel? You said it was a little slower than you felt, but how are you feeling physically?
You know, I'm feeling really good. I was going over some of the stats, and by elevation, I've summited Mount Everest from sea level more than 3 times, almost 4 times. I've done the equivalent over the last 40 days of climbing the Calgary Tower 10 times a day, every single day. Some days are between 35, 45 kilometers per day. And it's actually been nice to go a little bit slower than I was expecting. I know 45 kilometers is not slow by any stretch of the imagination, but I get to meet a lot of people. I get to do a lot of journaling, and I post a lot of photos on Facebook, but what I'm really looking forward to is the massive amount of video that I'm recording. I've been asking people why they would go out of their way to help complete strangers. I've been asking them questions like, what does mentorship mean to you? How do you get involved in the community? And I'm really looking forward to being able to stitch together this content in some kind of documentary or video or story of the story behind the story, if that makes sense.
Now,
but
Jeromy,
I'd say
the questions are already coming in. They're coming to me on these green sticky notes. This one we have to start with because I'm sure everybody's thinking, how are your shoes holding out 45 kilometers a day?
Well, let's see if I can show you. I guess I'm wearing these shoes, but you can probably see my toes are poking out of it. So I literally walk and walk and walk and run and run and run until my shoes fall apart. So I think I'm on my 4th pair. I have to replace them in a couple days here because my feet just won't stay stuck in them anymore.
So every 10 days.
My shoes are not very good, and every time I give up a pair of shoes, man, it's hard because these are my friends. They've supported me. They've been with me every step of the way. And when I leave them, I do actually take a moment to remember the good time and take a photo with them.
Amazing. The questions are coming in fast and furious, so let's make that the focus. This question keeps coming in. In fact, it came in from what we're calling a very important person, a very important questioner. Your mom,
Yep.
Mary Ann, wants to know, and so does this other caller. Have you chosen a trail name yet? We're hearing about these great names of people that you've encountered or wait. But who are you out there?
No, I don't have a trail name yet. And the trail name is it's bad form to pick it for yourself. Usually it's the people around you who pick it for you. Usually it's either funny, consistent, or true, and it relates to things that you like or things that you do and stuff like that. And nothing is stuck yet. I think I'm a harder person to stick. And it's not that I don't want one, but I think there's not been a situation where it's come up yet. So I'm only again a quarter of the way in, and that may change.
We've got more questions from
Actually, I should mention, maybe just as an example, one of my friends, a person I've been hiking with, her name is 50, and she got her trail name 50 because she was on the side of a road and walking into town. Somebody pulled over, asked her if she needed a ride, and she accepted the ride. And the driver was so astonished by the fact that 50 was going to go from Mexico to Canada that she gave her a $50 bill to go buy herself and her partner some lunch. So that's how names like that come about. So everyone around decided, now you're 50.
Jeromy, you're meeting a lot of people. If people are not following Jeromy on Facebook, you have to. He writes beautifully. We get all these updates almost daily about his adventures and sort of reflections and what he's seeing. But you're meeting a lot of people. And I'm curious, obviously Big Brothers Big Sisters, the charity you've chosen to support, is about mentorship. You're meeting friends on the trail, but do you have Pacific Crest Trail mentors that are helping you achieve this amazing goal?
Oh gosh, all the time. There is this practice called shakedowns. And then the idea is once you get into town, you complain about your backpack being so heavy, and the more experienced hikers and the people who are a little bit more practiced will basically just take your backpack, dump it completely upside down, everything falls to the floor, and then they pick and choose, well, you don't need this, you don't need that, or you should change it. I've had a couple shakedowns so far, and I've gotten rid of quite a few things that I didn't need. So that's one thing. And then there's all sorts of people that along the way who will offer their assistance, trail angels. And on the trail, they say that if you want to go fast, you go alone. And if you want to go far, you go with friends. And the fact that I've been the beneficiary myself, knowing quite a bit about the outdoors, wilderness training, that sort of thing. The fact that I'm learning absolutely so many new things every single day, even from people who are half my age, a quarter of my age. And it's been an incredible experience so far. And I think it really it helps ground me in the fact that I'm having this incredible experience out on some mountaintop watching a vista. But the fact that we can, again, just circle back to the reason why, which is the life-changing programming that BBBS does, it's a very rewarding and fulfilling experience for me.
There's so many characters that you've met along the way, but tell us about one. Give us paint a picture of one friend that you've met that's been sort of, and maybe that friend has taught you something along the way.
Well, there's a saying on the trail, and I quote, the trail provides. So it's used kind of as a curse, and it's used as a blessing, and it's used in a funny way and in a serious way. So whenever something bad happens, they'll say the trail provides. Not what you want, but maybe what you need. and it's almost in a spiritual sense where what happens for a reason, and how if you're in need, then luck or good fortune or others will help you. And even just an example, like I had this package that I was waiting on for straps for my backpack, and it was sent to a post office, and I was unfortunately the package was delayed. I got this message that from the post office that had just arrived. And I was in the middle of completely nowhere, like a long, dusty road, absolutely no one in sight. And I wouldn't be able to get that package. Basically, they'd have to send it back to maybe to Canada. And not 5 minutes later, a car pulls up beside me and asks if I need a ride to town. And it's stuff like that that kind of just happens in such an uncanny way that there's a bit more to it than luck, I think, can explain. So it's every single day interactions like that, people who go out of their way to help me. And even just the cast of characters, fellow hikers, stuff like that, very rewarding getting to learn their stories and each of their reasons why they're out on the trail.
Amazing. The trail provides. Questions are still coming in. Here's one from actually a notable Albertan that many people would know from politics and community building and supporting community. Jim Dinning, your friend Jim. Yes. Here's what he writes, and I think it's a beautifully phrased question. Has the meaning or purpose or motivation of your journey evolved for you over this 40 days? And he says, aside from supporting BBBS, of course, but what has evolved for you when it comes to the reason that you're doing this?
Wow, and there's this mistake that people think about the trail in that you go out here to escape something, and that is the exact opposite. There's so much time where you are left with your own thoughts, and you are alone, not necessarily lonely, but you're alone with your own thoughts in a way that it's never been possible for me over the last 4 years of my time as a counselor. And there's some humility to that, just the sheer force of nature, your own size compared to everything. And for me, it's been an interesting journey because I can fully respect and relate the fact that even like my own personal journey, like during the election, like Calgarians, I think, spoke loud and clear that I was not ready to lead. And when you think about public, I'm not going to say humiliation, but very public defeats like that, it's very easy to become bitter or to think maybe the world got it wrong. But it's a lot harder to think about what you do to better yourself, better others. And, it's a very humbling experience that if I walked into the California desert the way that I walked into a city council meeting, I would never escape the desert alive. And it's that humbling experience, the fact that relying on others, the importance of trust, the importance of teamwork, it's very much life or death out here. When you think about how do you make it 80 kilometers when there's no water and things like that, relying on other people, the fact that you're out there and if something goes wrong, it's just the people who are with you to be able to help, right? So that's been a very interesting piece. And I'd say that the trail doesn't necessarily change you, but I think it peels away a lot of the unnecessary fluff. And you start to think about, okay, every single word that you say, is there a meaning to that? Or are you just speaking endlessly or meaninglessly? So for me, the importance of listening rather than talking is an important lesson that I think I needed to learn. Not just, I think most politicians do too.
It's profound. You know what? Your mom has another question, which I think actually ties into the learnings you're having. She writes, "What do you write in the logbooks left on the trail to sign?" Because apparently there's spots that you can contribute to the experience of others. What messages are you sharing there?
Yeah, so it's a real highlight of the day. There's these various trail registers, and they're basically a book that's encapsulated in some sort of weatherproof box. And you open the box, you see things in there, little stickers, sometimes messages from other hikers, the names of people who've been through there, the dates that they've been through. And I'll just write my name, I'll write the date, and then I'll write just an observation of something that happened to me today. And usually it's something grateful or something that inspires gratitude. So something that other people can look forward to if they're going the other direction. I'm going northbound, many people are going southbound, so I'll say a nice shady spot in 2 miles, or nice cold water and a beer at the gas station, something like that. So typically it'll just be something mundane, but that kind of information about where water is, that sort of thing, that's like gold to us out here in the middle of nowhere.
Let's do a bit of a rapid fire with some of the questions that have come in. This is a very kind question. Where can we send you snacks? people want to send you snacks, where can they do it?
Well, I am very well stocked with between my family who very generously help. I'm very stocked in terms of supplies. Even the trail angels give me candy and stuff like that. What I would say is if you want to send me snacks, I would say make a small donation in lieu of that, maybe $20, $25 to bbbscalgary.ca, and they will make sure that the money goes a lot further. I'm in good spirits, good health, and good hands out here. I probably don't need contributions like that, but if you want to help, one of the best ways would be to make that very small, just monetary donation to our campaign so that we can continue to make that impact for Calgary kids.
I was just speaking with my teammate Anne, who's helping us with the questions, talking about match events. We have events with our mentors, our bigs and our littles together at different locations around the city. And thank goodness they're now in person. And we want to give them snacks. We want to give them more snacks so they can keep having all the fun. So we appreciate that. Okay, here's another one. Are you feeling sleep deprived? Every time I look, you're waking up at 4:30 in the morning.
It depends on the night, like some days I've just been going through this area that's like the windiest in the world, like wind tunnels and wind turbines for like the last 10 days. I've been walking through windmills and wind turbines. So, when my tent shakes, that's okay. Like you can sort of tune out the noise, but when the wind goes so fast that you actually feel yourself momentarily like lift into the air on your air mattress, then you have a problem. I would say the sleeps are not very good. The sleeps are great though, like the siestas. Like I'll try to nap from like 1 to maybe 2 p.m. every day just because it gets so incredibly hot. But I don't think I've had like a solid single night of sleep and probably since I got started. But you start to adjust to it and your body adapts.
Here's another great question. What are you listening to where you are? Is it audiobooks, music, the sound of your own thoughts? How do you pass those many miles?
Sometimes it'll be the conversation with other hikers. Basically, my flow changes a bit. Like when I'm completely loaded for bear out of a town, like my backpack's like 35 pounds maybe, and I'm more of a waddle. When I'm getting closer to town and lower on supplies and stuff like that, I can actually run and jog. So that changes things a bit. I'm doing that more on my own, and I'm eager to get back into town for more supplies and a shower. Depends on this terrain though. Like it's very rocky. Like I found it's a bit distracting to listen to audiobooks or podcasts or music. Another issue that we have here is rattlesnakes. So they're sometimes very subtle. They're the rattle of their tail, and you got to make sure that you're completely paying attention. Otherwise, they can just spring out of the rocks and get you. But otherwise, I've been listening to a little bit of fantasy audiobooks. I've been listening to some podcasts. Nothing political. I've just been trying to completely unplug from what's happening at home. And a little bit of music, but otherwise I'm very content to be out here just listening to the wind and the ambience and the nature, and as stupid as that sounds.
Now, let it be known that when you're focused on the trail, you're on the trail, but there are moments where you focus on us, not just our charity, but all the people that are supporting you. Here's evidence. Look how many postcards just I have received from Jeromy Farkas along the way, including this beautiful one made of, what is this? This is made of wood. You're writing a lot of postcards, letters, and thank yous. Isn't that right?
So that postcard out of wood, I gave it to another hiker on the top of a mountain. That hiker gave it to another hiker who gave it to the person that they hitchhiked with, who delivered it to a post office for me. So that had to change hands 5 times, not even counting the postal service. And then that shows you just the currency of trust and relying on other people. So one of my segment of this video that our documentary I want to do is just the story of a postcard, how it changes hands and how it actually gets to people. Because I've written probably, I'm going to say maybe 200-300 postcards so far. And again, just trying to really thank the contributors to our campaign. But it's a small minority of those postcards that I actually drop off in a post office or in a mailbox. So many of them take a very circuitous way to get to their destination.
Jeromy, how many calories a day do you have to consume in order to pull this off?
Oh boy, I think I have to consume about 5,700 calories per day. I'm finding that very difficult to do. There's only so much that you can eat. Like I've lost a lot of weight. I'm at about 150 pounds, which is probably not at the healthy level. Like I got to ramp up the calories that I eat, but it's tough. Like when you're doing 45, 50 kilometer days, like that's a serious energy expenditure. It's not something I've been able to do that well. So I'm trying to figure out ways that I can get all the calories that I need. Right now, it's basically just eat as much as I can while I'm in town, and then try to while I'm out about on the trail.
And I've noticed a few times along the way when you've met up with friends or in a town, you'll literally eat 2 or 3 meals in a stretch, whereas we might eat dinner. That's strategy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not unheard of. For it's called the hiker hunger, and for me, I get like my stomach hurts because it's full, but it's still hungry. Like that's a weird feeling to have. I wouldn't
Well, saying
recommend
this, you're not doing yourself any favor, because somebody else said, "Do you need money for snacks?" Now they want to send you cash for the snacks, not just the snacks.
Well, again, I'm going to say bbbscalgary.ca. I would say send a small donation to them. And then maybe we can have maybe Jerry or Natasha or Sue or Ann or anyone on your team maybe could have a little bit of a care package. And you guys can send me this.
We would happy to do that. Obviously you're wearing a shirt. We sent you a beautiful hat that we've seen in many, many photos on the trail that's providing some sun support for you, I know. Give me a sense, one of the questions that came in early is, you've talked about a documentary. Is there a book in your future? How are you going to, 3/4 of the way from now, how are you going to memorialize this amazing adventure? Have you started to think about that?
Well, I've been doing the front-facing journal. So I do a log pretty much every day on Facebook, which many people have seen. And I've been doing a private journal, which is probably, I'd say 2, 3, maybe sometimes 4 times longer than what I publish. So I'm interested in doing that, but part of it is just survival. Like when you're waking up at 4:30 and you got to go hard for the next 12, 15 hours, that's your priority. So I've been trying to do it as much as I can. And it's a bit of a grind to do it, but after like say even 2, 3 days have passed, like it slips out of my mind exactly, well, what happened that day? So I'm very grateful that I do spend the time and I do stay disciplined to journal that. I don't know what it looks like. I definitely have been able to improve my photography skills while I'm out here. So at a minimum, maybe some sort of coffee table book for Big Brothers and Big Sisters might be in the cards.
We've only got 3 or 4 minutes left, but I wanted to ask, you've just passed, or you can tell us, the 1,000-kilometer mark. How important are those milestones? Like, do they matter to us? We're like 1,000 kilometers. Let's get it on Facebook and let's talk about it. But how meaningful are those milestones for you?
Well, I'd say the biggest one for me is the 70,000. So we're at about 70,000 of the 100,000 goal that we got. And I think my friends, family, supporters, they need to know I'm not allowed to come home until we get that $100,000. bbbscalgary.ca. And if we hit that $100,000 soon, I think that maybe your team are going to try to imprison me in some sort of hamster wheel as some kind of perpetual, like infinite renewable fundraising technology, and trap me somewhere in Washington, maybe a mile away from the border, and I'll just keep spinning in the wheel and keep raising the dollars. But the milestones are really important. They help to motivate me. They help to motivate the supporters. And sometimes it's very ambiguous. You're climbing the mountain, you don't know how far you've gone until you look back and you see the distance that we've gone, as well as the difference that we've made. And I see that in the incredible work that you and your team do. I see that in my tired legs. My calves no longer fit into the first pair of pants that I have. But the milestones are very important, and we're about 1/4 of the way, and we have a lot more difference to make. And again, it's just one step at a time.
We're almost done this check-in. We'll do many, many more. We certainly appreciate your journaling and what you're putting up for public consumption. My team loves checking in with you. But here's a beautiful question. to end on, and then we'll say goodbye. This person asks, after you're done the trail, what then? Will everything else seem less exciting and meaningless after you've done something so profound?
I don't think so. I think it's many people have sort of been surprised by this journey, having only known me in politics, but there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to be able to do in my life. And maybe it means returning to politics. Maybe it's running again. I have no idea. As I mentioned in my answer to Jim's question, I think that I wasn't successful in the last election for a reason. I think that I wouldn't want to return to politics until I grow more as a man and I have more to offer my neighbors. And again, I wouldn't just want to be running for the sake of running for things. I've really appreciated the storytelling. I've appreciated the relationship building, the teamwork, that sort of stuff. And the photography is definitely something I've taken a real love to. We'll leave it to the people who look at the photos as to whether they're any good. But I've just been really enjoying this as an opportunity. And at a minimum, if you'll still have me, I'm hoping to be able to speak about my experience on your behalf once this is all done. But again, I'm just the tip of the spear. I'm a guy who's just walking a long ways every single day. But it's your volunteers, it's your incredible team, Ken, that are doing the work every single day. And I could not be prouder or more motivated to finish this chapter of the journey based on all the great work that you guys are doing at home. So again, shout out to Sue, to Anne, to Natasha, to Jerry, all the other people that I interact with frequently on your end. I don't think that I would have anywhere near as much meaning to this adventure if it wasn't for the work that you guys are doing on my behalf, supporting me, as well as the incredible work, life-changing work that you do for Calgary kids.
Thank you so much, Jeromy. A pleasure to connecting with you. Love to hear your stories, that you're safe. Eat more calories. We need you to keep going down that trail. I don't know what's available at the Knights Inn, but that's where you are. So go grab a snack. Thank you very much for checking in. And not only are you walking, we're all walking with you. You've got this amazing support network here in Calgary through our agency, Big Brothers Big Sisters, but also through the hundreds of donors that you've attracted and welcomed into our cause, and the thousands of people that are following you. One last word to you. What do you want to tell all the people that are cheering you on?
Oh, I would just say thank you. Thanks for taking a chance on me. Thank you to my supporters politically who have stepped up and supported this next journey, but also thank you to many of the people who did not support me politically, because it's interesting. After the election, you really get to get a sense of who your friends are. There's people who you thought were your friends that won't pick up the phone anymore. And there's people who were perhaps some of my most vocal opponents who have reached out in such unexpected and kind and meaningful ways that I have no words to be able to provide my my gratitude for that. So it's really defied a lot of my expectations. I know doing this has defied the expectations of a lot of Calgarians, but I'm 1,000 kilometers down. I have about 3,260 to go, and let's keep making a difference one step at a time. Thank you for believing in me, and again, thank you, Ken, for all the heavy lifting that you've been doing to make this partnership such a great success so far.
All right, Jeromy, Godspeed. Be safe, be well, be motivated. And by my watch, you're getting close to siesta time, so enjoy yourself.
Yep, I gotta wait out the heat, and then I'll be heading up the mountain at least another 10, 15 miles today.
We'll check in soon again.
Great, take care, Ken. Cheers.
Bye, everyone.